A black man pulled up to his brand new mansion, but before he could even open the gate, a woman blocked his car and called security. She thought he was trespassing, until a convoy of black SUVs rolled in behind him. What happened next left the entire neighborhood speechless, and taught everyone a powerful lesson about respect. The sun hung low over Willow Creek Estates, painting the sky in soft orange hues. The streets were lined with luxury cars gleaming like polished mirrors, and the sound of sprinklers tapping against trimmed lawns gave the neighborhood its calm rhythm. Every home looked like it had been pulled from a magazine, beautiful, spotless, and guarded by iron gates that seemed to separate us from them. That afternoon, Marcus Reed drove through the quiet street in his black SUV, humming softly to a jazz tune on the radio. It had been a long day at his company's headquarters, meetings, calls, more meetings. But all that exhaustion melted away when he saw the house at the end of the cul-de-sac. It was finally his. A dream he'd spent years building toward. A white brick mansion with marble steps and tall oak doors. Surrounded by gardens that looked too perfect to be real. Marcus stopped at the gate and rolled down his window, ready to punch in the security code. But before he could, a sharp voice cut through the peaceful air. "Excuse me." He turned to see a woman jogging toward him. Blonde ponytail, designer yoga outfit, oversized sunglasses. She stopped just short of his car, breathing heavily, her expression full of suspicion. "Can I help you?" "This is private property," she said, crossing her arms. Marcus blinked, confused but polite. "Yeah, I know. I live here." Her eyebrows shot up. "You what?" "I said I live here. I just moved in last week." The woman frowned, shaking her head like she'd heard a bad joke. "That's impossible. The Reeds moved out. The new owners haven't moved in yet." Marcus chuckled lightly, trying to ease the tension. "Ma'am, I am Marcus Reed." She tilted her head, scanning him from head to toe. Her lips tightened. "You expect me to believe you own this place?" Marcus's patience thinned. "Why wouldn't I?" Her tone grew cold, sharp like glass. "Because this is a $10 million property, and I don't recognize you. I'm calling security." As she pulled out her phone, Marcus sighed deeply, the smile fading from his face. He looked up at his mansion, his home, realizing that even after all his success, some gates were still harder to open than others. Marcus took a slow breath, gripping the steering wheel as if it could anchor his patience. The last thing he wanted was to make a scene in front of his new neighbors, but the woman's tone cut deeper than she could ever understand. "Look," he said evenly, forcing calm into his voice. "I just closed on this house last week. My name's on every document. You can check with the HOA." But the woman wasn't hearing a word of it. Her name, as he would soon learn, was Tracy Whitman, self-appointed guardian of the neighborhood. She was one of those people who treated neighborhood watch like a badge of authority, the kind that came with a healthy dose of judgment. Tracy took a step closer, her arms crossed and chin lifted high like a guard standing at a royal gate. "No offense," she said sharply, "but there have been break-ins around here. You don't look like someone who belongs in Willow Creek." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Don't look like I belong?" He could almost laugh if it didn't sting so much. He'd worked his way up from nothing, starting his own private security firm in his 20s, training former military and police officers, earning contracts with Fortune 500 companies. And now he was being treated like a criminal outside his own home. He leaned back slightly, trying to keep his composure. "Ma'am, I understand your concern, but this," he gestured toward the mansion, "is my property. I'm not here to cause trouble." Tracy didn't budge. She was already dialing her phone. "I'm calling security," she announced. "Let them sort this out," Marcus sighed, shaking his head. The disappointment in his eyes said more than any argument could. He'd dealt with suspicion before, boardrooms, clients, airports, but somehow this moment hit harder. He looked at her calmly and said almost softly, "You might want to hang up, ma'am, because in about 2 minutes you're going to regret this." Tracy laughed, rolling her eyes with mocking confidence. "Oh, really? Who are you going to call? Your friends?" Marcus's lips curved into a quiet smile, one that carried both restraint and quiet power, something like that. And with that he reached for his phone, not to call for help but to send a single coded text. Tracy ended her call with a smug look of triumph, clutching her phone like a weapon. "There's a suspicious man in a black SUV trying to enter the Reed mansion," she said confidently. She stepped back, arms folded, as if waiting for applause. Marcus simply leaned against his seat, a calm smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Then came the sound, a low, steady hum of engines rolling down the street. Tracy turned, expecting to see the neighborhood security golf cart appear, but what arrived made her heart skip. 3 matte black SUVs glided down the road in perfect sync, their engines rumbling like distant thunder. The vehicles stopped sharply in front of Marcus's gate. Their tinted windows reflected the sunlight, and for a moment the quiet neighborhood froze. Tracy's expression shifted from smug to uneasy. But wait, that's not neighborhood security. The car doors opened in unison with a satisfying click. Out stepped 6 men dressed in black tactical uniforms, boots polished, sunglasses reflecting the glare of the afternoon sun. Each one bore a golden insignia over their chest, the emblem of Reed Protective Services. They moved like a trained unit, scanning the area with professional precision, hands resting near their earpieces. Within seconds, one of them, a tall officer named Daniels, approached Marcus's car. "Sir, everything okay here?" Marcus rolled down his window, his voice calm and controlled. "Just a misunderstanding, Officer Daniels. Nothing more." Tracy's eyes darted from one man to another. The insignia, the gear, the formation, it all screamed official. "Well, what's going on? Who are these people?" she stammered. Daniels turned to her, posture straight and tone firm but respectful. "Ma'am, this property belongs to Mr. Marcus Reed, CEO and founder of Reed Protective Services. We're his private security detail." For a moment, silence hung in the air. Tracy's face drained of color. You own this company?" Marcus opened his door and stepped out slowly, adjusting his suit jacket with quiet authority. He met her stunned gaze with a polite smile. "Every badge you see here?" he said evenly. "I trained them myself." The street went silent again, except for the sound of the wind whispering through the trees, and the faint hum of power that seemed to follow wherever Marcus Reed went. Tracy's confidence drained from her face like water slipping through her fingers. Her hands trembled slightly as she fumbled for words, her voice no longer sharp, just small, shaken and uncertain. I didn't mean any disrespect, Mr. Reed. I just thought—" Marcus raised a hand gently, cutting her off without anger, but with the kind of calm that carried more weight than shouting ever could. "You thought I couldn't live here," he said quietly. "You saw my skin before you saw me." Tracy froze. The words hit her harder than she expected. Her gaze dropped to the pavement as murmurs rippled across the neighborhood. One by one, curious faces peeked from behind hedges and windows, watching the scene unfold and realizing exactly what had happened. Marcus stood tall, not as a man showing off his wealth, but as someone carrying the burden of a truth too many knew too well. He turned, gesturing toward the mansion behind him, the sunlight bouncing off its white brick walls like a silent symbol of his years of perseverance. "This," he said steadily, "isn't just a house. It's proof that where you come from doesn't define where you can go." He paused, his eyes fixed on Tracy. "But what you just did, that snap judgment, that assumption, is why we still have so far to go." Tracy swallowed hard, her cheeks flushed red. The silence was heavy, almost painful. Finally, her voice broke through it, barely above a whisper. "You're right. I was wrong. I'm so sorry." Marcus studied her for a moment, the anger in his eyes replaced by something deeper, disappointment but also grace. He had seen enough prejudice in his life to know when it came from ignorance rather than hate. He nodded slowly, letting out a quiet sigh. "Just think twice before judging someone by how they look," he said softly. "You never know who's on the other side of the gate." Tracy wiped her tears as Marcus turned to his security team and gave a nod. The SUVs pulled away in perfect sync, their engines fading into the distance, leaving behind silence, reflection, and a lesson the whole neighborhood wouldn't forget anytime soon. Over the next few weeks, word spread through Willow Creek Estates like wildfire. The story of the woman who had blocked the mansion's actual owner at his own gate became the talk of every dinner table, book club, and neighborhood chat group. Everyone had an opinion. Some said Tracy had made an honest mistake. Others admitted they might have done the same, which was exactly the problem. But what surprised everyone most wasn't Marcus's power or his wealth. It was his grace. Instead of humiliating her or filing a complaint, Marcus chose a different path. He believed in teaching, not punishing. A few days later, Tracy found an envelope taped neatly to her front door. Inside was a handwritten note in bold, confident strokes. "We all make mistakes. What matters is what we learn from them. Marcus Reed." Tucked behind the note was a simple flyer, a community announcement from Reed Protective Services. It invited all residents, especially women, to attend a free self-defense and awareness program hosted at the local community center. When Tracy read it, she stood silently for a long moment. She knew that invitation was for her, not as a punishment but as a second chance. The following weekend, she showed up at the class. Her heart pounded as she entered the training hall filled with other residents. And there, at the front of the room, stood Marcus, confident, composed, and smiling. "Ready to start fresh?" he asked warmly. Tracy nodded, her voice steady this time. "Absolutely." Over the next few months, something remarkable happened. The two began to talk more. Marcus shared his experiences building his company from scratch, and Tracy opened up about her assumptions and regrets. Their unlikely friendship grew into a powerful example for the entire community. Together, they organized charity drives, mentorship programs, and neighborhood events to support underprivileged youth, turning a moment of prejudice into a movement of progress. Soon, the mansion at the end of Willow Creek wasn't just a symbol of wealth. It became a beacon of change, proof that understanding and respect could bridge even the widest divides, and everyone in that neighborhood learned a timeless truth. Respect has no color. Success has no face. And sometimes the person you doubt most is the one teaching you the greatest lesson of all. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more powerful and inspiring stories. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.